Mm-hmm. There we go.
Did I freeze? There we go. No. Oh, there we go.
Are you in a different room?
No, I'm in my office. It's mostly empty. I've been purging.
Purging or reorganizing?
No, a lot of purging.
All right, there you go. Good.
For sure.
That's fantastic. It looks like you took shelves down. That's the part.
Yeah, I took a bunch of stuff. There's probably an echo in here now. Yeah, a lot of stuff been moved. A lot of stuff been getting rid of. A lot of purging. New desk. The desk, I was in here last week, but the desk was facing the opposite way, and it wasn't working for me. And it was it wasn't working for me, and it was causing me kind of just stress. So I had to flip it back to the way it was. I decided I got the L desk, and I decided I wanted to put it a different way from when I had my old desk. And I was like, this will work. And then it didn't.
I dig it. Hey, Rolls, thank you very much. 28 months in a row is quite an achievement. Thank you so much.
Appreciate I know kids with less. I know kids that are younger than 28 months.
Yes, yeah. And then, hey, crappy video store. That's a Tim Joski. Thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Oh man, how's your week been? Chaotic? Good. I'm great.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long week
already.
Well, yeah, we're putting it in the books. Well, I mean it's been exactly 7 days since last time we spoke, right?
It has been.
Yeah. Otherwise, no complaints. Still alive, still breathing, still working, still hanging out. And yourself?
I'm doing well, man. It's just been a little crazy. We rent where we live right now.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time we've been here in Dallas, we rented because the idea was the wife got the job here, then I would get the job. I got a job. She got a job. We started working. We were going to rent for a year, maybe a year and a half, do a 6-month lease on the second one, and then buy home. Kind of go for it. And COVID happened, and housing market went
shot to the roof. Sure,
stupid. Yeah. Houses that were,
affordable,
200,000 shot up double, 400, 450. The house on the corner right now over here is now at, we saw they put up a for sale, and it's already a negotiation, and it's $515.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's no way that house is on the corner. It's a corner lot or the first house on the street. And it is on a major street, like a street that gets quite a bit of traffic. And it is the first house, or I guess the last house before you hit the intersection. Mm-hmm. In the intersection, there's a shopping center. And the first shop in that shopping center that's basically in the backyard of that house is a head shop.
Oh, all right. So you got like loud folks just hanging out doing stupid
stuff.
It's
like you got a head shop and the corner, but they want $500,000 for that house. Apparently that's what. So like, if that's $500,000, what's a nice house?
Yeah, that's a bummer, dude. I mean, yeah. I would say leave Texas, but that's the
no. I think that's the right. Like apparently everywhere else is just as bad, if not more expensive.
I mean, no.
Syracuse doesn't count.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Syracuse does not count. It is not even a metropolis.
Got some weird personalities down there in Texas doing some weird things. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, what is it?
What do you do for a living? Are you a venture capitalist? Because I don't think San Francisco is affordable.
Didn't you guys banned natural gas this week?
Aren't you guys trying to ban no-fault divorce? Let's not compare what we're trying to ban.
Natural gas. I'm just saying, you're banning natural gas, right? You can't.
Well, natural gas stoves in buildings constructed after like 2025, I think it is, or 2035 or something like that. So, but it's a step in the right direction, I guess. And it does not. Everything's been grandfathered in, right? So it's not like I have a gas stove. It's not like I have to get rid of it. It's just if I was to build a brand new house. Oh, you know what? Maybe I could charge like $100,000 more for my house because it has a gas stove.
New York.
That's different. I mean, let's not be dark. Let's be nice, right? Let's not be. Texas has been in the news a lot lately. I'm just gonna throw it out there to people who have been keeping.
We're a hellhole. We're a hellhole. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. But we try to fight the good fight. Not all of us are.
Stadium Art says that Dune 2 trailer gave me the juice.
Yeah, man, you jump right in.
He wants to talk about Dune 2. Let's do it. Roll the credits.
Let's roll the credits. That's exactly what we're gonna do. That's man. We'll hit the ground.
Thank you, Stadium. We're avoiding politics once again. Appreciate it. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's roll those credits, and then we'll talk about Dune. Let's go. Hey, welcome to Mid-Geek Crisis, episode 212. Man, it is Wednesday, and I am... camera's off. That old camera, I couldn't get everything. I had to do some upgrades on my computer and reinstallation of Windows, and I thought I had everything ready to go, and apparently I had forgotten some stuff, and sure enough, scrambling at the last minute. So,
if it wasn't for the last minute, who has time? Right, that's the most important and longest minute, right? We do the most we can in that last minute.
Yeah, for sure.
Tonight's the politics and religion show. You know what? Like maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
No.
Says, I didn't mean to get out of the convo into Dune 2. I'm just stoked for it. We are also stoked.
We are stoked for it as well. No, and trust me, Pedro and I are on the same page. I also hate Texas, but I live here. And also,
I also hate New York, and I live here.
It's like we hate where we live, but we love where we live. There's
That's exactly right. Love
also, I want to say something. We were here first.
You were in Texas first?
As in, the Latinos were here first. So, like...
I mean, I guess if you could trace your roots back far enough, yes, you were there first. Yes.
You were here first. So, like, we'll keep fighting the good fight.
Wait, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I saw it like a week and a half on HBO Max. Then I went to the theater.
You didn't see opening night, did you?
Huh?
You didn't see it opening night.
I don't see anything opening night.
It was free on HBO Max on opening night. You didn't watch it opening.
Did I? I think I didn't even watch it then. No, I had to find time to watch it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I definitely watched it within the first like 2 or 3 days of it being released. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
I did watch it. Yes. No, yeah. I did watch it for opening night because I remember like harassing all my coworkers and asking them about it. You're right. I did watch it opening night. You're right.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. No. We're civilized. We're civilized enough to have watched Dune, and it's a hot topic. We've had episodes dedicated to Dune here on the Mid-Geek Crisis.
I am. Fans of the show know that I'm a big fan of high science fiction. I like science fiction a lot. Star Trek, Star Wars. I prefer. I mean, if I have a genre I enjoy, it's that. Comic book movies I like, fantasy movies I enjoy, but science fiction is my jam. And Dune is like top 3 easy, right? There's like not even
that. And what is it? Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. That's one of your favorites too.
I did like the Fifth Element, but problematic, right? So.
Yeah. Is Fifth Element problematic? No, I don't.
I think the director is.
Oh, Luc Besson.
Yeah, Besson is.
Well, I mean,
Besson. So Stadium, I'm with you, man. Fifth Element, I've watched. Yeah, probably I watched it like 3 times in the theaters, and it's one of those shows that back when I had cable, if I saw it on, everything.
The channel didn't change, right?
Yeah.
Like it was one of those that we watch.
This is what we're going to.
Yeah,
watch.
No, Fifth Element is one of the movies that's. I mean, it could be. My wife could put it on, and I could like walk by the room, and I'm not leaving the room now. Like it's like crap. It's like a fly trap. And
exactly right.
So that's definitely one of the. There's a few movies like that. John Wick, the first one, was like that.
John Wick's like that, yep.
The first one. So definitely the first one is one of those like you flip in or whatever. Like you watch a clip, and you're like, oh, Now I gotta watch the whole thing. I can't.
Damn it, I was gonna do stuff.
Do stuff. No,
I mean, like, I guess like our kids would never know the joy of flipping through the channels and being like, "Oh, Shawshank Redemption, sweet! This is what I'm doing today," right? Like, you're just gonna stop and
so that's TBS because they would play Shawshank Redemption like 50 times.
Yeah, and you just you're like, "Oh no!"
There's a few movies like that. Hot Fuzz is another one for me like that.
Hot Fuzz is a good one.
That's one that like it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. It's in my perfect movie list. Like a movie that there's not a part in the movie that I need to flip or skip or do whatever because it just
every minute is
every minute of it is worth.
I remember it being a very tight film.
Do you have other movies like that you can think of?
Perfect movies that you don't need to skip?
Yeah, I mean, like so. I love movies. I mean, even bad movies. I consider some of them are amazing. I'll watch them, but there's a certain category in my head that I call the perfect movie. You know, almost every movie there's a part where you're like, I just want to get to like the second half of the movie or the 2/3 part of the movie. You know, the last 2/3 of the movie. The first half is slow, but then after that, everything is great. But certain movies you can just like pop in, and from the moment the credits roll, all the way from the moment that you start the movie to the credits, it's just perfect.
I mean, like controversial Starship Troopers.
That's a good one. I can no, yeah.
Science fiction wise, Independence Day, I think, is a movie that I will stop and watch every single scene of it. I love Independence Day. It's one of the stupidest, most gratuitously awesome alien fighting movies.
That's also one of those, like, it's on TV. You're like,
God damn it! Now I'm gonna watch Will Smith punch an alien, and now I'm gonna watch the rest of this movie.
You know, yeah, no.
Gosh, I don't. Yeah, no. I don't watch movies often over and over
Green
again.
Mile. I don't know about that one.
That's a heavy film. The Green Mile.
That's a heavy film, though. That's why. So, like, I gotta be in.
Terminator 2 is good. That's a good pick.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is a good one. I can consider that one almost a perfect movie.
Clerks and Mallrats. Really, there's some scenes in that movie I could.
Mallrats, 100%. Clerks, I absolutely love, but there are parts of it that I want to fast forward, like the hockey scene on the roof. I'm like, oh, come on, I just want to get to the next part of the movie. Like, I get it. I know but there's parts of the movie that I'm just like, fast forward. Like, I want to get through it.
I dig it.
But Mallrats, I can agree with you on Mallrats. That's considered a perfect movie for me.
That's solid. That's solid. A lot of Godfather fans and Casino. Look at these folks with the casinos. Huh.
Yeah, Casino. I don't, yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to think what would be my gangster film. I don't even know if Casino is my perfect gangster film or Godfather is my perfect.
Oh gosh, Stadium, I missed this. I limited the entire version. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I mean, that's only because they never gave up the kid, right? If he had given up the kid early.
Rolls. This is interesting. I'm sorry, I rolled it back up. That's interesting. Dune was good, and I was already hyped for it. I think if you're not a fan of Dune and you watch for the first time and you were like, I would watch it. That's one of those movies that you kind of almost have to watch a second time, at least to like really let that soak in. If you are not a fan of Dune, but a fan of sci-fi, it's a weird flick. Like, it's a weird concept. And even my wife likes it now. Like, she's
I made her watch it 7 times and she likes it now. Damn it,
she likes it. No, it's just one of those movies that, like, because, and I constantly always explain that to people when they watch Dune. They're like, "Oh, this is like Star Wars." I'm like, no. It predates Star Wars. Like, it's sci-fi's grandfather. Like, a lot of these things in Dune predate all of that. So when someone sees like similarities in characters, I'm like, well, that's because it was in Dune first. So like,
do first. Filming on a desert planet, though, that might have been in Star Wars first, I would say.
Okay, so we've got people putting in spoilers on streamers, huh?
Is that what they're doing?
Oh, yeah, look at this garbage.
Why? But like, why?
It's
Crappy Video Store says, I love mafia movies. Like, I hate the mafia and their actions, but I love the movies. Would Miller's Crossing count as a mafia movie? Because I think Miller's Crossing might be one of my favorite mafia films of all time. And more of a gangster film, but it might be one of my favorite ones. Rolls, I'll give it a go. Give it a go. It is weird, and it's weird. It doesn't explain itself like some movies. Like You watch a new movie, modern movie, and they spend a lot of time explaining everything. Dude, you just got to enjoy the high science fiction ride. You got if you watched Excalibur or any of those old epic movies, you just got to be like, what's going on? You know what? It's not important that I know everything.
It's not important that you know.
I just got to enjoy the beauty of this film. You don't need to know every single bit.
And that's a good topic all around on sci-fi.
Or anything. Because like Polygon has a long article about like what you need to know before you go see Guardians 3. And I'm like, I don't want to read a fucking essay to go see a 3.
Right. So that's a good concept and good conversation, because modern movies, especially with Marvel and a lot of the modern sci-fi, the audience has to know every minutia of the world before it's presented.
Otherwise it's plot holes. Right?
Everything has to be explained on how it works. And then one of the beauties of things like Fifth Element is that you're thrown into this futuristic world, and we're never told what happened to Earth. Why is there a lower level? We're never told how there can be some cost. Like, why is there a floating ship in a restaurant? That's why is the president this way? Why does he eat that bug? Squeezes that bug and eats what is this like weirdness that like all this like weird thing?
Yep.
There's just, you don't need to know. We never even know what the croquette thing is. Like the winner, he won the something croquette contest. Is it a cereal? Is it a food? Is it what is it? Like,
it's super green. That's all that matters.
It's super green. We don't know what that means, but like we
figure it out. We figure it out.
You figure it out by Demolition Man. We don't know what the 3 seashells are.
We never will.
I mean, we could explain all we want, but we don't need to know. And I think in the modern sci-fi, you have to know everything.
It's so
and it bugs people when they don't. And Dune kind of throws you in this world, and then you're like, okay. And then like, especially if you watch like the original movie, they're like, oh, they're on this planet. Oh, they're moving to this other planet. Why? Because the Emperor told them to. Why does the Emperor? We don't need to know. He just told them to. Let's go.
Let's go.
And then they get on this ship, and then like these giant floating space babies with like weird like
space fetuses
are up there, and you're like, I don't understand what you don't need to know. You just know that they fold space. Boom, done. They travel that way. How do they do it? You don't know.
They sit in a vat of spice. That's what they do, man. They sit in that vat of spice. We don't know why.
Yeah.
And this is just how you have to enjoy it rolls. But also, to each their own. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's fine. The writer says there's no explanation for the seashell.
There shouldn't be. That's what's great. That's what the beauty of like certain sci-fi. Like sci-fi it's science fiction, right? That's what it stands for. But also like a writer can write anything they want in a specific moment, and he shouldn't have to explain it. That's just the world, and the world has already found a way on how that works.
Put some flesh on there, put some detail on there that does not need to explain, because our imaginations could be exercised to
right, like the world of Fallout, right? So there's no money but bottle caps.
Yep.
We don't explain why bottle caps. It just happened to be the thing that reminded us of currency, and that's it. And you just accept it and move on, and that is the currency in this world.
And it's good. Yeah. Do you remember when you first watched Star Wars and you just accepted there was an evil space wizard who force choked people at meetings?
Right.
Remember that?
Right. And then Lucas had to come in and go, well, it's in the blood. It's midichlorians, and we're like,
right. And a lot of my complaint is the explanation, the over explanation of things that were way cooler when I didn't know about it, like Boba Fett, right? Things like that.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, yes. I agree with you on the Book of Boba Fett, because we now know too much, and maybe he's not as cool and mysterious as he should be, right? Which is what makes Mando kind of cool, because he was introduced as a character that we just were learning along the way.
Well, we could pretend we're Mando now, can we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I still haven't seen the latest season. I'm so far behind.
So good. So good.
Well, the writer said on the podcast recently about the seashells that he had an idea, but they didn't like it, so he used the seashell thinking the producers would call it idiotic, and use the original idea. No, they just kept the seashells. So never trust producers, I think, is what we learned when you're dealing with writers. Also, speaking of Hollywood writers, good luck to the writers on their strike.
Yep.
Solidarity in that. I know some of us might be like, but my entertainments. But those entertainments will dry up if they can't eat. So go out there.
So I mean, so I retweeted on a good commentary on that, and that was Adam, what is it? Adam Cover?
Adam Explains It All, or
Adam Explains It All. He pretty much, a good a good quote from him is like, we're fighting to stop the streamers and the studios from turning writing from a career into a gig job. They're trying to take away our jobs and employ us one day a week like we're Uber drivers. We're fighting for fairness. And I agree.
Cool. Let's fight for the Uber drivers too while we're at it, y'all.
Yeah. Well, of course, everyone should strike and unionize. But the idea here is that for writers, he's got a point. We've now become such a mass media consumption machine, the world in general, that these studios are trying to take advantage of it. They want to make more money, more profit by just paying writers, not as like employees, but as like, we'll pay you for that script, bare minimum, because if not, we'll just go to the next one because someone else is already trying to write one.
Yeah. And it's tough because there's a lot of people who be willing to be paid less to be a writer.
Right.
So you've got to be good.
But so the twist on that always is the moment you are willing to go, I just want to get my foot in the door, I'll take whatever.
Yeah.
You've essentially diminished your own art.
You commoditize it. You wind up with, who cares what brand of milk I buy as long as it's $1.69 a gallon, right?
Right.
I don't give a crap what milk. You've commoditized it all.
Yeah.
And there is differences in quality of milk for sure.
Yeah.
I also think that you look at Netflix and Amazon Prime and even Apple, these billion-dollar companies are putting out studio releases and not paying for them from a royalties perspective, right?
Right.
If you write something as good as Ted Lasso for 3 episodes, are you not entitled to some royalties if this show is popular forever, right? Like, yeah. I understand. These shows are streaming into eternity.
Into perpetuity, pretty much.
Should Netflix continue to profit off of Stranger Things forever? And the writers and the people who worked on it shouldn't, right?
That's a good point because
that's
back
also what they're fighting for. They did for TV, right? That's the thing.
80s and 90s, right? You had things that went to syndication,
and that was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal, and when things went into syndication, writers did get paid like actors. Seinfeld doesn't have to work a day in his life. The entire cast of Friends never has to work a day in their life because they made so many episodes and they make so much money from syndication that just to get the rights of Friends or whatever to re-air is a ton of money. Yeah. But now with streaming, and some of the shows are streaming originals, they're signing these as like the base original contract without syndication. They're signing these contracts as like, you're making this and we're going to pay you this amount when it comes out, and boom, done. But then, like, again, you're right. Stranger Things is going to keep making money forever. All these shows are going to keep making forever. The writers should get paid forever. These shows are.
I think everyone should get paid forever. So when Tim, I appreciate your insight, right? Writers get a small amount as it is with royalties. But what about the stagehands, the production assistants? They only get paid for the work they do. So, yes, I think they should get royalties as well. But that's a revolutionary idea, right? Everyone should profit from their labor, not just capital. However, right, I do think that production assistants have stable jobs, right? They work for production companies. They are employees, while writers are often brought in and out and paid as a script or as a series of episodes. They don't have this
and I guess the counterpoint to that, to kind of reemphasize it, is that a writer is a creative mind. They are creating art, and art is kind of like this thing. I mean, when a painter creates a painting, it sits on the wall and someone pays them a big amount for it. And if it ever gets sold or owned or whatever, you can still own the copyright to that piece of work as a painter. Even though someone else bought the original, you can, as a painter, can still own the original piece of artwork and keep selling it as prints. Right. And that happens with like comic book artists, for example. Like,
essentially, you can get royalties off of your work.
Yes, you could have drawn the original, Spawn or Spider-Man doing, awesome move or whatever, and you sell the original. But when when they sell that, there's usually some sort of like writing that says that you still own the original image. Mm-hmm. So
they used to not.
Tattoo artists. That happens with video games all the time. You have against EA and all that. You've got NBA and NFL players where they get full body scans and they've got full tattoos on there, and that artist designed that, and all of a sudden that piece of art is now being reproduced in high definition on something else, and those artists go, wait a minute, and they've won, so they've had to edit the tattoo or remove it.
That's amazing.
Or the studio has to pay
the rights, but everyone loves profit.
Yeah.
So Rose says, but if I invent a brand new widget for my company, guess who owns the widget? The company.
Right.
Yeah, Rose, burn the company down. Right?
Yes, and I agree. But this also, that's the idea of when you work for a company, you are an employee of that company, and within the contract, sadly, they write anything you create while as an employee, it belongs to us. When I worked at Apple, anything you created while working at Apple, if it was an app that was worked internally, whatever, belongs to Apple. Like it doesn't matter if you can, So I mean, it's that's the way it works. All developers have to deal with that all the time. They write a piece of code, and it belongs to the company they work for because they were on the
writers who work and are employed by like Disney Studios. They are professional writers for Disney. They are on Disney's payroll. They collect benefits from Disney. They get everything. They are. It's same situation. Disney owns all of their stuff as if they.
And that's not what's happening here. The writers that are on strike are writers that are writing these shows as like one shots, or they come in as like, hey, we've got this 13 episode series. We need to write 13 episodes.
We need your help writing 6 of them.
Yeah, right? So the showrunner already wrote the base idea for the 6 that are going to, the beginning, middle, and end. But we need the filler episodes. Who's going to write those? That's where these writers come into play, and they come in and they write, and then the show gets success, and they don't get jack. But yet other people do.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? I think everyone should fight with what they would get. I think we should always support folks who fight. And I agree with you, Tim. What about all the folks who need to work? And these writers striking essentially put a stop to that. I mean, that's what I call leverage, right?
Yeah.
It's like when the owners in basketball or baseball teams lock out the players, they're exercising their leverage.
Yeah, but that's a weird take of taking it. They are not screwing over anybody. There's solidarity within the community, and the community themselves know that they wouldn't be working if those writers didn't write that awesome show. And if writers aren't creating awesome shows, then they don't work. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And yes, you're right. By them stopping, they're not getting paid, but that's why they should then join in the rally and join the strike and help push these studios. Like don't cross the picket line by going to do other odd jobs for the studio. Side with them, and everyone needs to stop work so that Hollywood stops production completely and goes, we need to negotiate and get this ball rolling.
Correct. Because at the core of it, everybody, who does the least amount of work? The producers, right? Like the folks who are cashing the checks at the end of the day, the billionaires, like, oh, I don't know. Who's that guy that recently got sent to jail for sexual harassment, right? Yeah, he may have been a wheeler and dealer, but he didn't work as hard as the production assistants and the writers and the actors who made the movies, right? Weinstein, that's it.
Yeah,
that dude. Bear in mind, I think the writers are on the right. However, it's not like if you're a writer for a major show or movie, it's not like you're getting paid pennies. Most
you are
decently.
Rose,
some of them
you
get
are.
paid pennies. Some of them earn better than
there's a whole thread going on right now where a particular writer talked about how they got a contract they got paid $75,000 for this particular deal that they did.
Sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot. And then they go through all of the agent fees and all the things that they have to pay off, and they end up coming out that they made only, I think it was half, if not less than that, which is under minimum wage job is what they make. And a writer in general, while they're not going to immediately sell another script, that's the money they're going to make for an entire year. And now they have to go back and write something new and try to sell it. So again, that's what they're getting at. These guys they're not the actors. They're not the people in front of the camera. These studios are paying pretty low wages, low amount of money for a script. It's almost like they could just go anywhere else, right? They've got all these people. They put out these calls. They go, we're looking for a show that's based in this and this. Do you have any ideas? And people will shop it and write this idea. And so if they don't like that one, they'll go to the next one and the next one. The only writers that have that real leverage are ones that have written already big shows, and they're known for that good show or that good movie.
You get that Michael Shores, right?
Yeah.
The Good Place and things like that. He's known for writing good shows or having worked on The Office and things like that. So I think also when you mentioned it, right, there's also a lot of unpaid labor, right? So when we apply for jobs nowadays, we got to go through 3 different interviews, right? Yeah. All of that's unpaid, right? In fact, most of us are missing work to go to these job interviews.
Go to these other job interviews, yeah.
Writers will have to write half a script and submit it, and it could be rejected. Or it could be, yeah, this is great. Write me 2 more, and I want to review them before I give you the job, right? So now you've written 2 full scripts for free, and they might not even use you. And there's been cases where those scripts have been stolen and used in other cases, right?
Yeah, that happens all the time where they submit these scripts, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, you're looking at watching TV, this popular show, and half of your script is being used, but you could feel that like energy that you wrote in that show, and like that happens all the time with movies too.
Yeah,
like they'll write a movie or a version of a movie, and then another writer will come in, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, pieces of my movie are still in here.
You wind up with 5 writer credits, or you wind up with someone with their work getting stolen. So. Yep. At the end of the day, you know, anything that makes those billionaires who own the studios make a little bit less money, feel the pain of this stuff, it's okay. I'm on board. Also, think about like after the last writer strike, which was like what 18 years ago, right? It was a while ago. The last writer strike. The amount of great stuff that came out of after the strike, right? Like people worked better because they got paid more, right, after that last strike. So I hope we go through another television renaissance, writing renaissance with these folks coming out of all this. Maybe it's the capitalist in me, but it's like any other industry. If you're not happy where you are, find something else to do. I know capitalism is capitalism is killing us all. You're right. If you're not happy where you are, find something else to do. I would say first try to change it, and then if you're still unhappy, find something else. Right? If you can fight for what you think is making you happy, these writers probably love writing. They just want to be able to live as well as their bosses and bosses do. So maybe they should be willing to fight for it. But yeah, they should write socialist screeds, right? They're talented writers. They should write socialist propaganda, right, Joe? Let's convert us all. Let's make the world a better place.
Let's all go. You know where to go, right?
You know what?
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
He's like 2 deep breaths before he says space.
That's what makes it. I never get tired of that clip. Never get tired of it, for sure. Oh, man. Speaking of space, speaking of writing, speaking of Hollywood, let's watch the Dune trailer.
Let's watch it. Let's do it.
When you see sand here, imagine water. If you dive in, you can't reach the bottom.
Tatooine's looking real nice.
I don't believe you. In the shadows of Arrakis lie many secrets, but the darkest of them all may remain. The end of House Atreides.
Your father didn't believe in revenge.
What if Paul Atreides were still alive?
I think that's Fade.
Oh, that real pale dude is Fade? All right. There's something going on with the black and white colors that I'm really excited for.
Don't try to impress anyone.
You're
brave, we all know that.
Super impressed.
Be simple. Be direct. Nothing fancy.
I understand. Nothing fancy.
Oh, I like what they're doing there. Doing more of that.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Yeah.
Oh, I got goosebumps there.
Yeah, I know. I'm hyped. there's definitely a hypeness to it.
Oh no, that's just yeah, no, it's I mean, that's my third time watching that trailer, right? So it's got me energized. It's got me ready to watch this film. I'm excited for it. It looks fantastic. I'm intrigued. First, I don't like sand. Yeah, you know what? Freaking George Lucas somehow ruined desert movies, right? Like he's ruined it because of the I don't like sand. You can't have a desert scene anymore without that nonsense. I'm excited for what Dennis is doing with this film. The contrast in those desert colors, the cool.
I'm wondering about like it must be a different planet, and wherever the sun is, it might be like a white dwarf or something. So like the sun is pure white. So
that's why they're all like weird, horrifying, pale dudes.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, man.
Gideon Prime is.
Yeah, maybe that might be. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because there are. I mean, if he's following the book, and I'm not even going to say spoilers because the book is 20,000 years old. There is scenes on Gideon Prime where Fade is in like the arena. He's fighting in the battles. On that planet to show off his awesomeness. Also to show off his schemy ways, which I think the original Dune did not. David Lynch didn't really do a good job. I mean, he had a beautiful sting.
Beautiful. He had a
gorgeous man. Why would he not just ask him to take his shirt off and take a shower for me, right? Like
golden bikini, you know?
Yeah, no, he didn't really do much with Fade in the David Lynch version. I think Dennis might be doing some cool things with Fade this time around.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he was plotting against the Baron, right? He plotted against the Baron in the books. Like there was like a whole thread of the Harkonnens sort of intrigue, right? Yeah. And also the Emperor intrigue. Is that who Florence Pugh is playing? Is she playing? Interesting.
Yeah,
she's right.
Never get laid.
Never what?
Never gonna get laid. It's complete, just like constant wanting of Paul, constant wanting of Paul.
Yes, and Jessica looked fantastic. The tattoos,
they're really going with the new look for the. Just remember, there is a spin-off show coming soon about the mother.
Oh, is there?
On Max. Not HBO Max.
It makes me. I don't understand how HBO died. Why is this timeline where HBO dies and Max Skinamax is what we used to call it, y'all? How is that what survived?
You weren't here for the show. I had to do the show solo on that one. But we talked about that. We talked about the whole. I was like, HBO, man. HBO had the name. We talked about the whole idea that HBO. We all remember seeing the HBO logo in the 80s, like a feature presentation, all that kind of stuff. It was HBO's what sold it. Yeah. HBO was premium. Cinemax was where the movies went after HBO, or you turn it on late at night to watch the softcore.
You're like, are my parents asleep?
That's where the dry humping on way up here is happening. They're like,
oh, you watch Emmanuel 4. She's in France or something. Who the hell knows what's going on? But you just waiting for. You know what I'm talking about.
Red Shoe Diaries there on?
Is it Red Shoe Diaries?
You remember that with David Duchovny?
That was on Showtime.
Was it Showtime? One of them. I think they own it too. I think they're all the same company. No, Showtime is CBS, right? Yeah. CBS owns Showtime.
Yeah, CBS owns Showtime. So it's still Showtime. It still even says, "Wait, HBO is done." I think
it's not that it's done, right? So it's
fading into the background,
right? So HBO is a premium cable channel, right? And so since cable is dead, people are I can't even. We could probably count on our fingers the people on my block that probably still pay for cable.
I bet they're all over 50.
Yeah, total. The idea here is that HBO can only exist when there's a channel. So you then rebranded it. It became kind of a streaming service with Game of Thrones became popular. So people were paying for HBO, but they were using a login to watch it at any time. You didn't have to catch it at a specific time. You could just log in and.
You even had an app. It was like HBO that you paid for.
Yeah, it was HBO Max, or it was the HBO.
It was an HBO Go.
Yeah,
which was to pay for it if you had the cable service, and then there was an HBO
other
app.
Yeah,
you paid for it just to the app. It was very confusing.
Right. So all of this is gone now. They still exist in a way, but most people. Would you pay for cable and also premium channels these days? Why? You could just pay for Netflix and get the same movies. They're going to be on there.
Build your own package and swap.
So the idea here is that HBO Max existed because it was still had the name branding of HBO. All the HBO shows were there. And then with Warner Brothers and all that, you just had this thing. But now Warner Brothers and Discovery, they just, they've merged and they're kind of mixing and matching and they're killing off the Discovery Plus streaming channel, and they're mixing it together with HBO instead of calling it HBO Max still and just bringing Discovery underneath it. They removed the HBO moniker and just left it Max. I don't know,
because someone there was like, I remember the 90s. The 90s are back, so we got to max it out. We got to max.
They should have just called it Extreme or something like that. You know, like with like 2 X's, not 3, because that would bad connotation. But like,
honest to God, the only reason I still have cable is for Bally Sports Midwest. Outside of that, all that. But yeah. I think most people just pay for cable now for the sports, right? I mean,
and it's usually you're paying for cable only because you're trying to get that local. Like, for example, if you're in New York, you would pay for cable so that you can get the exclusive Yankees, the
Yes Network.
Yeah, yes, and I think now there's an app that you can pay for, and they still make money off top of that. But the idea is like it's part of a cable package for a specific vendor, not even all of them, right? So like it's a way for them to like sell you Spectrum or Time Warner or whatever,
or Dish Network or any of the garbage.
Yeah. So that's really that sport. But even they have moved on. I mean, MLB's with Apple TV and NFL just recently restructured now that their big contract with DirecTV kind of died off, and their Sunday tickets going to is now part of YouTube. So you now have to pay for YouTube TV to have that, and also. Good example is I paid for it. I paid for Sunday ticket because it was a good way for me to watch. But none of my 2 teams that I watch are in the Dallas area. It's all Dallas. Anywho, so I had to pay for it so I can watch certain games. But and the way I could get away with it because my wife is still technically a student. It still has like student EDU account, so I would pay for the student account, and I would get it for I think it was $150.
When you say technically,
I mean she still receives email there, and still
okay, all right.
Like, it's her account's still there. Look, all they want is a valid EDU email address that's active, and it's active. So for the past like three plus years, like I could still use that. So they built it, and sure enough, people were like, "Wait a minute, I'm in college. Like, how do I pay for this now?" And sure enough, in their FAQ, they're like, "We are not providing a college." So it's like $400.
Holy shit!
It's ridiculous. Like $400 for Sunday ticket. Like. That's ludicrous.
Yeah, I mean, paying anything for football is ludicrous, but I understand, if you're a big fan, you got to pay that $400, right?
No, or now you yar and find a way to like watch it other ways, right? There are other people are going to be doing. So we killed a lot of those like streams back in the day. Now they're going to be back because.
Yeah, no, we killed TV only to realize that we actually did love TV.
Yeah, so now we've got cable packages. Now everyone's got their own app, and we've now started cable. We've reinvented cable all over again. Everyone's got their own app.
I have to do the juggle where I'm all like, okay, I watched all the content on Hulu I want. I'm canceling this.
Hulu.
Let me sign up for Paramount. Oh, next month I'll do Peacock. Like it's so
like a 1 month thing. Like
so awful. I'm just buying like an entertainment package for each month. And
I mean, to be fair.
It's exactly right, Rolls. When you're side with the writers, they kill the reason they get paid. You're right. It's like I wish they would write me a plan on how to watch their shows because it's really awful dealing with all the stupid services.
Yeah, I mean they're sadly they are working within a product of Hollywood's making, and we as the consumer, that's the only way we can afford to keep consuming. If not, we won't watch any of them. Yeah, right. Like that's the downside is I'm going to pay for that one. I'm going to wait for people should wait till like certain shows are done. Like that's what I did with American Gods. Yeah. I remember when that came out, like I was going to pay for like 5 months of Stars because that's where it was on. So what I did is I waited till it was over. Stars came out and then we watched it. We binged it. And then it was only 1 month. That was it.
Yeah, I think, we sailed the seas for that one. For the record, we sailed this. Sorry, writers, but sometimes.
So let's talk about the seas here. This week or this month is an important month. A good game, a game that's been in production for 5+ years now. That people are waiting for. The sequel to Breath of the Wild is coming out May 12th. Okay. We're getting
May 12th.
Yeah, May 12th. Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and it's out in the wild. It's leaked. It's out. It's the entire game is out there. People have got it, and they're playing it to completion, which is what we got earlier.
Jackass was doing spoiling it,
spoiling the ending, spoiling the final form, and all that. Yeah.
Why?
Because people are jerks.
Jesus.
Yeah. So people are like, there's whole threads on what to mute on Twitter, what certain terms to just mute them, like to mute list, so that you don't get spoilers and videos and whatnot on it.
You know what you should do? Delete Twitter. I'm gonna say this every week, y'all. It gets worse. It's getting worse.
Yeah. So all of that to be said, it's leaked, and a news story for that. Not only that it leaked and that it's out there, you can play it if you know how. There are ways to get it and play it and put it on your modded Switch, or even play it on your computer. There are ways to do that. That said, Kotaku decided to cover the story. Decided to cover the story about it, but not only did they cover it, they wrote a whole article on, like, what is it, like 10 things that you should know about now that it's leaked. 10 things that we've learned since the leak. And they decided to like just go through and list like 10 or 15 different things in the game that you won't know about unless you played the leak. So
basically they're writing all the articles they would normally write about a game the day after it released, but they're doing it day after the leak.
By saying, oh, because of the leak, we now know this and this and this. And I'm
like, got to get ahead of everyone else who's going to post these articles.
Right. Well. So what happened? Nintendo took away their early access. They are now less than consumer. They are now banned.
Good for them.
So they won't get sent any review copies for anything.
Nintendo should just do that to everybody. I mean, they will eventually.
They will. I mean, Nintendo's already one of those companies that you don't want to get on their bad side. I mean, they have we not learned nothing? They send the Nintendo ninjas all the time.
Would Kotaku do? I'm
because
surprised.
Kotaku's a jerk. Because one moment they like to, they're not the site that I used to like. They're kind of jerks now. And on one hand, they're condemning people about the leak, talking about the leak, and then they post news stories about the leak. And then not only that, one of the writers, after they blamed them and whatever, they took away their stuff, they then accused Nintendo of being Nazis and put up like a whole like a tweet about it, like calling them Nazis. I'm like, you guys were the ones that chose to talk about an IP that isn't technically out yet. Yeah. And not only that, you spoiled stuff.
Leveraged pirated IP to create content. A content frenzy, frankly, by advertising on your website that there is a leak. You've made more people go and find a leak. It's yeah. So how is it? Is it a good game?
Yes. Yes, it is a good game for sure. I mean, how can we not?
From the videos I watched online, you know what's I mean, we can close it out on this. You know what's not a good game?
What's not a good game?
Redfall.
Really? I haven't played it yet.
No, you know what? So, like, you know how there are big budget AAA games that you know will deliver? Like you're going to a Marvel film and you're like, the CGI is going to be crisp, the acting is going to be great, the writing is going to be top notch. I'm going to enjoy this Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, right? You know what you're getting.
I mean, you've got like, I mean, the calls there would be like, it's Marvel, it's part of a storyline you already know. You got James Gunn behind it. All these things, these tells.
All these things. So you think, and it costs money. You think Redfall at $70, $100 for the full package.
Yeah.
It's by Arcane Studios, which makes Dishonored, which are great games. Prey, great game. So you think you're getting that experience, right? You're not. You're getting like Cocaine Bear. You're getting like B Studio performance here. If you signed up for B Studio performance, it's actually an enjoyable film. The writing is just bad enough to be funny. The AI is just stupid enough to enjoy shooting them in the face, right? Like everything is right there. All the like, if you were looking for a B Studio game, it checks the boxes for multiplayer. You're right. You know what? I need to take it back because I really enjoyed Cocaine Bear. It was an A-level movie, for the record. I'm struggling.
But I mean, we know what we were getting into. We know, like, if we go in with the mentality of B movie, we're gonna enjoy a B movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we all sat down to watch sci-fi originals because we know they're sci-fi originals.
You sit down for Sharknado, you know what you're getting, and you're gonna enjoy Sharknado.
Enjoy Sharknado.
And this is something I always make fun of you for, because you go into a movie like Transformers and you're like, oh, it was great.
Transformers, baby.
And I'm like, we are all dumber for having watched this movie.
Yeah.
But I go in there wanting science fiction. You go in there for a different experience. This is what Redfall, you got to go in there being like, I'm going to play a multiplayer game where we shoot dumb vampires, we listen to dumb dialogue, and we do dumb things. That's what Redfall is. But if you go in there having paid $70, I would be livid at how, like,
so this is troubling, Pedro. Like we talked about it a few weeks ago, and you were just kind of in shock because you don't follow like the gaming media in general, how it works. But this is exactly what we're talking about with Xbox. Yeah. Like Xbox can't get an exclusive Xbox Studios done right. This is a company like they've bought. I mean, they spent billions of dollars buying these companies. Bought Bethesda, they're trying to get Activision, Blizzard under their umbrella. You've got all these companies. They've got like 25 studios now, and they can't seem to crank out one single like hit. I mean, their own IP, Halo Infinite, just did not do what it wanted to. And here's Redfall, their first exclusive next gen game. This is the one game that you can't, like, if you have an old Xbox, you can't download. Yeah. That's Microsoft Studios. Halo Infinite, if you got an Xbox One or an Xbox One X, you can download it and play it. Redfall, you cannot. If you have Game Pass, it is an exclusive Series XS game or PC. And here we are. It's just not good. And this is a game that like, they've dumped millions of dollars into. And this speaks profoundly to the leadership of Microsoft and how they're like.
Is it bad project management? Is it just.
It's got to be because, and again, I'm not a Sony fanboy and I'm not a Microsoft, but I do side with Microsoft because I like the presentation of their product better. Game Pass is better for gamers. It's better for consumers. It's better for my age range. It's better for my time management. It's like I could just sit down like a Netflix and play a game. And the fact that I'm already paying you a ton of money a year, giving me a $70 game for free, quote unquote, because I paid for it already, is a fantastic thing. But when that game isn't worth my time, then I'm not, that $70 game is really only another $10, $15 game.
It feels like a $15 game, and only $15 because I can play with my brothers and you, right? Like it's only $15 because it's got
right. So here we are, but PlayStation, who owns other studios again and first party studios, will hype up a game and release a game, and it will do gangbusters for them. And God of War, Ragnarok did fantastic. The Last of Us did fantastic. Spider-Man Miles Morales. I mean, the list goes on and on of games that they exclusively produce, exclusive to their console, and it does and sells well.
It delivers a triple. I mean, Sony might be the triple game studio, and Microsoft is not.
And they can't. But that's the problem, and that's problematic for the brand Xbox moving into the future. It makes it so that
it's a great Game Pass game at the core of it, though, right?
Right.
If they were looking to put out a Game Pass game and say, "Hey, we've got a new multiplayer game,"
this game is a straight to streaming game.
It's a straight to video.
It's not a go to the theater and get a theater experience. Pay that high dollar money to be there day one.
That's for you, Tim, right? It's a straight to video movie. You put it in. It might even be an asylum film movie. Like it isn't. There's a lot of things missing to make it.
Yeah, and again, this is you're not following all the development hell that this went through. It should have been delayed. It wasn't delayed. It was delayed once, and then they decided to keep this release date. But one of the things it doesn't run at 60 on 4K 60. It's running in even performance mode. It's got 30. Like it's already kind of a mess of like development. They're saying that all of those performance modes won't be out till later on, till a patch.
It feels pretty janky now. If I'm honest. There's some janky.
So it looks like this is one of those cyberpunk moments where like this game's going to be great in 3 to 4 months, just like every other triple title game except the Sony games.
Yeah. It might not it doesn't even feel like the concept was fully baked. Like it
feels like they went for one thing and then they changed it up to make it a multiplayer Destiny style game when in reality, this should have just been a really solid multiplayer.
It could have been, yeah, and this is what
player.
Dishonored was, right? A really solid stealth, people, murder people, fight. This could have been a really solid stealth game, even if you had different classes. Yeah, watch some videos. That's pretty much the gameplay experience. The enemies are on par with that old Space Marines game, right? Sometimes the enemies, you can just walk right up to them, punch them 3 times. Their friends stand there and go, "What was that?"
Yeah, like the whole
while you're killing one of them.
There's a level in the attic where they like get stuck in corners. I've seen videos.
They've done that too. Yep. Or they shoot at the wall instead of you. There's a lot of like little tiny bugs. I'm sure will get patched away if
right, and it will, especially since it's a game that's online. But like,
if I paid $70 or I was excited for a 4-player co-op game and I convinced all my friends to pay $100 for it, right? That's $400. That could potentially be $400 for me to play with my 2 brothers and you, and we'd all be like, "Cautious, what were you doing, man?"
Yeah, man. Like, this is, I mean, we were sold on this before pre Game Pass. Remember Evolve?
Great. Huh?
Evolve?
Yeah, that was V and I had played Redfall together, and as we were playing, I'm like, man, this just makes me miss Evolve. That was such a good game, but the multiplayer kept failing.
The multiplayer failed, but then like when it released, it was
all that DLC.
It was a microtransaction nightmare, and it made it so that when you already paid $70 or $60 for this game, and because again, pre-Game Pass, this is a game that you have to pay $60, $59.99 day one. You went and bought your game, and then like when you popped it in, you realize that like base skin, it was like base skin, base character. All of a sudden, everything else was like pay to win. It was like all of this extra like loot and gear and skin,
classes, all that good stuff.
It was a free to play game before pre to play. It was a $60 game that's free to play.
Can we still play that game, or did they close it down completely?
I think the Evolved servers are dead.
Yeah, they're dead. Man, that was a great game. I'd love to try that again.
Yeah, that was a great game. But not only was it a great game, is we were sold on that game. It was our first PAX. 20.
He was telling me, he was like, that was like one of the first PAX releases that I played at PAX, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we sat in line and we all sat down and played it, and it was great. I remember I played the monster. And it was it was 4 against 1 or 5 on 1, I think is what it was.
Much fun.
So much fun, man. It was great. Yeah, that was just a cool game, cool concept. And again, that style of game sadly has now become a free to play, because the studio will make their money in the long run by making it free to play and just selling you skins and characters and patches and season passes by constantly cranking out content.
Which is why I think some of us, I was excited for Redfall, because I was like, oh, a AAA multiplayer game that isn't as focused on that kind of
Yeah, I mean, the story, you already have this great world.
The story had an open world. It's arcade, which is great for their open world experiences. This doesn't deliver. I mean, it's early. It just dropped yesterday. I've played like 6 hours, but I'm
like, it's early, but you should get that in a 6. Like, if this is the AAA title game,
laughing my ass off.
The first 30 minutes of gameplay should be like, yes, this is the reason I've been waiting this long for this game.
They also made the weird choice to make it so that one player has to host, and it's not drop in or drop out multiplayer. So like if I'm playing, I have to go out of my way to invite you into my game.
Oh, so I can't just join your game in
the Borderlands style where you could just drop in and drop out, which in my mind is multiplayer standard, right? You just drop in, drop out. Borderlands is the way to play. So yeah, they made a weird multiplayer decision as well. There's an obstacle. I now have to invite you or be invited. There's no randos either, which is nice, but also, what's the multiplayer if I can't get randos? Who I have to find 3 friends.
We can't get D&D to go on Fridays with friends online.
We have a pool of 6, and we just
get 4. Yeah,
we got 4 this week. Let's do it. So anyway,
this weekend.
If you like straight to video games, if you like B-movie games, and you have Game Pass, I recommend it. Play it. Yeah. Reach out to me. I need more players to play with me.
Yeah, I'll download it. I'll try it out. I'm gonna try it on PC.
Give it a whirl. Don't expect it to run at 4K. Expect some janky things, and also expect to laugh out loud at some of the animations. Right, that's really what it's about. You just got to really enjoy the Sharknado. You just have to really enjoy the Sharknado and be willing to play the game.
Has Midnight Suns yet hit Game Pass? No.
Not that I know of. No, it has not. It went on sale a bunch of times, but it has not hit Game Pass.
So,
I don't know. It might. I don't know that it ever will. Civ 6 did. That's a Firaxis game. Maybe it will later down the line.
Yeah, maybe down the line. I don't know. It's this is one of those games that like that I don't want to pay for because it's just not. There's problems with that game for sure, but
yeah, it's one of those games that I would pay for if I was 17 and had the time to like deep dive into it, but I don't have the time anymore to deep dive into games.
Right. Real quick, last thing before we leave, I just want to play one more trailer because I think you'll enjoy this one. The return of Double Dragon.
Oh, all right.
Announced today. Another nice, fun brawler coming out. More of these are the ones that are selling.
Good.
Let's go! Can't touch me. No escape! Take this!
Some nice pixel action.
Finally! My turn! No escape! My turn!
I'm ready. Watch your step. Freeze!
Nice. What?
Gotcha. Out of my way.
It's just like thugs getting their ass beat the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, upgrades, purchasing, all the good stuff, unlockable.
Yeah, ton of content.
Rise of the Dragons.
That
Yeah,
looks
man.
great.
Looks great. Looks
Great
fun.
multiplayer game.
Consoles it'll be out on. Looks great. I'm excited for it. Another good sit down and play with people that don't play games all the time.
Is Double Dragon happen? Does Double Dragon happen in the same world as Streets of Rage? Because it seems like
No,
Prime is a
it's
real
the same
like,
universe as the River City Girls.
same universe as the River
As
City
the
Girl.
Kino Kun series. So good. And that's the reason I good segue there real quick. Just I'm plugging another channel. What's funny about this being launched today is there's another big YouTuber called Matt McMuscles is what his name is.
Sure.
And he does What Happened series. It's very popular on YouTube. He kind of does these deep kind of documentary style dives on franchises, on what happened, where did it go, why is it not back, that sort of thing. And sure enough, he recently on his channel, he recently did What Happened. And 11 days ago, he did what happened to Double Dragon, and he goes through the entire like process of build, like how it came to be. Go check it out. It is a 28-minute video, kind of goes through the entire. Again, it's like a show. But what's cool about it is he talks about the creator and where he worked and how he was like brought over to another company to kind of make the Double Dragon series, and to Kenmo. And then sure enough, like how it was mismanaged and they just kept allowing all these other companies to kind of make the game. And then he created a River City Ransom, the original River City Ransom. And all of that was part of the same universe. So like all the characters are kind of connected, but not. And so this is nice because by the end of that episode, by the end of that show, you kind of realize that they don't know what to do with this. It's such a solid thing, but it was so mismanaged. Like they had the Hollywood movie. Do you remember that?
Oh my God. Like in a fever dream. Did it?
Mark Dacascos
about it. Did it actually come out?
Yeah, Mark Dacascos is Billy, the freaking chairman from Iron Chef, is one of the brothers.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, man, it's a wild ride. If you go check out
that straight to video, right? Maybe we.
No, it was a theater release, man. And then we had the cartoon in the '90s. It was.
I do remember the cartoon. I mean, every Nintendo game was made into a cartoon.
Yeah. So yeah. For sure, weird franchise, really weird use. There's even a Neo Geo fighting game. There was an original Double Dragon Neo Geo fighting game, and then there was a sequel to that, and that was in full production. And then Tecmo pulled the rights from them, so then they released the game with the same names but no tie to the. So the game is called Rise of the Dragon. And it's all the same characters, Billy and Jimmy, but they've got different last names and the character tree. But it's a Double Dragon fighting game, and that's like the best like looking revision, and it didn't even get the actual legit title.
Brutal. It's just bootlegged.
Yeah. So I think the last good entry to that was Double Dragon Neon on
I do remember Double Dragon Neon.
360, PS3, PC, and that's a good one.
So Mr. Muscle is the name of it?
Matt McMuscles.
Matt McMuscle.
Matt McMuscles. He's got it's a whole series called What Happened.
Series.
He's done all sorts of like kind of deep dives on multiple franchises, and go check that one out. Really fun, really hilarious, talking about like how bad some of these games were, some of these ports that the company didn't care. It just wanted cash cowed that.
I love it.
So
I mean, all right, folks. Capitalism.
Thank you so much. Everything. Capitalism, baby. It's killing me. There we go. Get it right. Thank you so much for joining us on Wednesday night. If you like more of this content, hit a like down at the bottom.
Stadium rolls.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Tim, I saw Rita come on at some point. Rita Sapphire come on at some point. So thank you all for joining. And always, it's a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah. Have a good rest of the week, everyone. Be kind. Right?
Is it episode 212 in the can? Are we reversing roles here?
Episode 212 in the can. Let's
be kind. Get it together, Joe. What the?
I know.